Bengals week 2. We're going to talk about them taking on the Jaguars. Coming up next on the Cincinnati podcast. Coming up on the Cincinnati podcast.
Hello, world. Cincinnati. You guys are the Yoshi creators, bro.
It's a new beginning. You know what that means, right?
But I know this, the whole NFL is scared of the Bengals.
Welcome to the Cincinnati podcast. I'm Ace, he's Zim, and we're here to preview week 2 of the Bengals versus the Jaguars. Before we get into that, partner, how you feeling today?
Not good. I didn't have any lunch, so I'm a little hangry, and I'm ready to go beat up some Jaguars or something like. Or I don't know. It's like, no, I'm all right, but I am a little hungry though. But how are you doing it? Did you eat lunch?
I actually haven't ate lunch yet. I did have a pretty decent breakfast though, so I'm good. But speaking of, new beginnings, this is going to be the first home opener for the Bengals, right? They're bringing Sam Hubbard back to the jungle. He's going to be the ruler of the jungle. It's going to be the first time, it seems like in a while, since the Bengals played the Jaguars. The last time we played them, the Can't Zero Me game, a famous game, right? Yeah. They're going to do the orange out. So we need everybody to rock orange. We're doing our part with the Bengals. Make sure that you guys show up early. Make sure that you guys pack out Paycor Stadium. But wear orange. Don't be that person that wears black or white to this game. Make sure that you go out there and wear orange. But let's get right into it, man. This is two teams coming in 1-0, right? Two quarterbacks were kind of tied to each other from college to now. I would say that Trevor Lawrence hasn't at this moment lived up to what he was supposed to be, right? Joe Burrow has. Now they end up on a collision course to play each other. The Bengals coming off of a victory against the Browns where people thought that the Bengals offense didn't really show up, and the Jaguars team coming off of a game that they should have won against the Panthers. Now both of these teams get to take another crack at it for the season. So one of these teams is going to be 2-0. What are your thoughts about the Jaguars offensively coming into this game?
I think if you watch the tape on the game, there were a lot of miscues as far as passing the ball. And the reason why I bring that up is because offensively, you're thinking from a fantasy football standpoint, Brian Thomas Jr. is going to go crazy. Travis Hunter might get a little bit of work. You'll see a lot of underneath throws to Travis Hunter, slants and stuff. To me, I rather that than double moves from Travis Hunter, deep ball, like on our corners. Like that's something I'm a little nervous on. And don't forget, they also had Dynami Brown as like a third wide receiver that also stretched the field as well, too. Bengals fans, y'all remember him. So he actually had a really good preseason. But Trevor Lawrence was 19 for 31. Someone got on me online because I actually accidentally put 19 for 36. It was 19 for 31. That's still not good. The reason why I bring that up, Trevor Lawrence was the least pressured quarterback in the National Football League. And he still only threw 60%, 178 yards, did not have a really good day, threw an interception, did have a touchdown in there, but I thought throughout the day didn't look as comfortable, a lot of underneath, a lot of dinking and dunking. The good part of the Jags, though, if you're Jaguars fans, Travis Etienne, they pounded the rock, looked really good running the football. I thought that if you're a Jags fan, you should be encouraged by that. Set up the run. It's very clear that they want to get chunk plays, big runs, smash mouth football if they have to, which they proved that they could do. I don't know if you guys saw that. They also traded Tank Bigsby after the game too because of Etienne looking so good. And then they also have some other running backs that they believe in as well. So I thought that if you're a Bengals fan, the contrast of you just had a game where you stopped the run. Jags just had a game where they went crazy in the run. So let's see how that stacks up. But those are the things that I think the Jags want to do. What do you have for us? I know you got some numbers for us.
Yeah, I think when it comes to the Jaguars, you're looking at a strong running game. That's something that they're going to use. They're going to have play action. They're going to use screens. They're going to use motion. They're going to try to get their playmakers in space. And honestly, this is something new for the Jaguars. I know watching some of their content creators, a lot of them said that they've never seen the offense look this easy for Trevor Lawrence. It hasn't been that open for Trevor Lawrence. You kind of talked about it. The interesting thing is, yeah, we are used to hearing Brian Thomas Jr., but if you watched the game last week, him and Trevor Lawrence are clearly not on the same page. there is something going on there. I think that they're going to try to get on page against the Bengals, but his favorite receiver last week was Travis Hunter, had about 8 targets for 33 yards. They also have Strange, the tight end, who had a pretty decent game as well. And then, like you said, Dynamic Brown, he actually was targeted more than Brian Thomas Jr. in the last game as well. So I think offensively, we know what they offer. And Etienne, like you said, is going to be a really key to what they do. The offensive line is hard to say, how good it is because they were going against the Panthers. However, Derek Brown is over there. It's hard to say, what that offensive line matchup is going to look like against a Trey Hendrickson, against the Bengals defensive line that really played well. I'm excited to see how this is going to go because I think that you'll see something like Travis Hunter against Dax Hill. I think that's a matchup that we can look forward to in this one. Cam Taylor-Britt, me personally, I'm putting DJ Turner on Brian Thomas Jr. If it were up to me, I think that's what I would do. I think when we looked at some of the numbers last week, DJ Turner was the man corner. So I think you put him on Brian Thomas Jr. And I think what you have to do against a guy like Trevor Lawrence is make sure that you speed up his clock. So don't make things too easy for him. Make sure that you get pressure on him and force him to make throws where he's going to have to beat you because there's going to be some where he's going to be accurate and there's going to be some where he's going to airmail them. And you want him to be sped up and be inconsistent in those because that's how you're going to try to generate turnovers in this one. And he still did turn over the ball in the last game. That's something that you want. You definitely want to stop this run game from going. I think Travis Etienne is really the engine to this offense. And we saw the Bengals with a really good performance against the Cleveland Browns last week, force them to become one-dimensional because we stopped the run. I think that's something that you want to do in this one. Travis Etienne, obviously with them trading away Tank Bigsby, that means that they're all in on Etienne and what they have there. Now, they do have some young running backs behind him, but no one has established as Etienne in this one. So I think stopping Etienne and slowing him down, Etienne, is the way that you're able to close this game out from that perspective. But if the Bengals can put pressure on them, force Trevor Lawrence to be inconsistent in this game, I think that's one of the paths for a Bengals victory as it stands from that standpoint. Now, they do have a new head coach. He is an offensive-minded guy. But just because they are an offensive-minded team now doesn't mean that the defense – I think the defense for the Jaguars was impressive now. Obviously, Bryce Young has been struggling. It looked like he was in position to improve, and the Jaguars really took that away from him. They do have a new defensive coach. You got to think about it. With a new coaching staff, that means everything is different. So what they're being asked to do this season is completely being different than what they were asked to do last season. They even had some of the Jaguars players coming out after the game, kind of taking shots at the old defensive coordinator and what they do. I don't know if you're ready to talk about that side of the ball yet, but if you are,
I wanted to talk about that too, because Cohen is a guy. If you're if you're a Kentucky fan, you can remember. I think Kentucky fans will appreciate this. I'm not a big college football watcher, but one of the guys that I remember going into one of those bowl games was the kid that plays for the Bills now. I think it's Ray Davis, but that's the signature Liam Cohen game where he goes crazy in that game. So if you're a fan of college football and you remember, or a UK fan, you'll remember that's the old I think he was the coordinator or the coach or whatever for the Kentucky at that time too. I wanted to ask you this too. From a strategy standpoint, I thought it was interesting that you were saying you would put DJ Turner on Brian Thomas. Mm-hmm. To me, I will go with the strategy that most teams employ when they go up against us, and that's I will put Cam Taylor-Britt. I know I'm gonna get heat for this. I think he's more physical. I think he's bigger. I think DJ Turner, Brian Thomas is not small. I would do that and give him the safety help the whole entire game. So if Trevor Lawrence wants to go and throw the deep bomb or whatever, Geno Stone take it away. If Brian Thomas gets anything, I will force it underneath. I'm pretty sure he'll get off. But I thought one thing that stood out really good was the Bengals' assistance from the linebackers in coverage. So any of the underneath stuff, I will force all that underneath. Brian Thomas is going to have to break 2 tackles. Cam Taylor-Britt, if he's there, and a linebacker, and if he goes deep, then I go, then I got the safety help over the top. On the other side, I will go DJ Turner against Travis Hunter, who Travis Hunter is not known as a route runner at this point in his career. go with the more of the technician that's probably going to be with him every step of the way and completely try to just one-on-one him and take my chances. What I know that probably sounds a little crazy to Jaguars fans, but I would take my chances with that. On the other flip side of the ball, we're going to talk about our wide receivers too and how they want to do that, because this is a very interesting game when you really start to break it down.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a really good game. I think the Jaguars are a pretty good team. I think that I would say that they're better than the Cleveland Browns. Obviously, when you have divisional, since people want to talk about context, obviously when you have a divisional kind of familiarity, that game is always going to be tough. But I think the Jaguars just have a lot more to offer from a quarterback standpoint, offensive standpoint, defensive standpoint. They also have a guy like Hines Allen as well, who may not be Myles Garrett, Trey Hendrickson, but he's there with them, right? Like he's in that top 10, top 15 in terms of that. We saw that he was able to have a number 1 in pass rush win rate last week. He was a top 100 NFL player. So this is a defense that a lot of people expected the safeties to kind of be a weakness from that standpoint. They looked good week 1. However, it was them going against the Carolina Panthers that do have some offensive weapons, but they don't have Jamar Chase. They don't have T. Higgins. This offense, I think, is going to look to get on track this week against a Jaguars defense that really played well last week and a Bengals offense that struggled last week. But I would hate to be the team that has to stand in front of these guys after they only put up 17 points last week. Everybody knows that that's what everyone's talking about. Where was the offense? They need to do better. So now you have a Jamar Chase going against a Tyson Campbell. You got Jordan Lewis, who did pretty good last week, but he's going against T. Higgins. Now you have Yoshi in the slot. You have Noah Fant, who scored a touchdown last week, going against an up-and-coming Jaguars defense. But by no means is this the same type of offense that they saw last week against the Panthers. What are some things that you think that the Bengals can exploit against this Jaguars defense offensively?
First of all, I want to say thank y'all to everybody checking us out lunchtime. We know that you could be at work, but you decided to sneak off and watch us in a stall at your bathroom, or you just went out to the car and just lied to your boss and told him that you were handling some paperwork. So we definitely appreciate everybody checking out Cincinnati there. Make sure you get on over to the YouTube on Cincinnati's page. Shout out to our sponsors at Midwest Best, and shout out to everyone that always supports us. I wanted to say that I thought that one thing that stood out to me is because the Jags are trying to they got 2 free agents in the secondary, which are very aggressive, but the scheme is all zone. And for me, I think Joe Burrow is going to love that. I think that after the game, there were a lot of takeaways. Me watching it, I reposted some of the throws that I thought Joe Burrow had to throw tight window throws. Shout out to the Browns secondary. It's the only – I'll give you credit on Myles Garrett too. But shout out to the Browns playing sticky covers throughout the day. I think that the Jags play a lot of cover 3 and a lot of different zone concepts out of that. And I think now maybe they might switch from week to week. I'm not sure, but they want to play zone. I want to say that in the week 1 matchup, Burrow likes to be able to go to his stuff pre-read. A lot of stuff I thought he was hurried up and he was forced to throw, but credit to the Browns secondary for sticky coverage. If he sees zone or match zone or any of that stuff like that pre-snap, I think guys like Yoshivas and guys like Gesicki, guys like that will have way more opportunities in this game. And then because I think the last time that we played the Jags, guys like Tyson Campbell got beat one-on-one by Jamar Chase. Those type of things are conversations that people will say, we don't want that to happen again. I think there will be a lot of opportunities in the mid and intermediate. And one of my bold predictions for this game is that I think that the Bengals have more time of possession in this game. Now, and to me, that's the formula for what the Browns did to the Bengals. The Bengals only touched the ball 3 times in the first half of that football game. In 2 of those 3 drives, they ended in touchdowns. The third one, they got pretty damn close to that mid-region. They got right outside of field goal range. So to me, I think the Bengals are going to say, well, if you're going to give it to us, we'll take all the underneath 6-7 yard plays, move the chains. I think that the zone coverage that the Jags want to play will invite that. Another thing is that I think that the run game will have a little bit more success. I think they'll take some of the under center stuff that they did last week and be able to work off of it, play action, and go into other things to make sure that they have more success in the pass game. Jamar Chase is not going to allow them to go back-to-back weeks with a poor performance. T. Higgins is not going to allow them to go back-to-back weeks with a poor performance or lack of targets. Yoshi, trust me, he is very, very locked in and ready to get some targets as well too. And I think the way that you do that is by controlling the football more, giving yourself more opportunities and more time of possessions, whether that's an 80, 90-yard drive down the field or it's a quick bomb or whatever. I'm not sure, but I will say that I think the Bengals will go into this meeting and say we need to possess the football a lot more than what we did last week.
Yeah, I completely agree with you, especially on the target share. Like Jamar Chase having 5 targets, T. Higgins having 4 targets. No, it needs to be at least double digits. There is a reason that you pay both of these guys, and you're going to have to involve them early and often in offense. Where is the creativity that we saw last year with Jamar Chase being moved throughout the slot in the backfield? Like, we need to see that more in this game. We need to see a deep shot. I can't recall the last time or if in a time in that game that the Bengals even took a deep shot. The Bengals have to be the explosive offense that they are, and the way that they do that is getting the ball in the hands of their playmakers. I felt like they tried to force feed Chase Brown at times, and I'm not saying to completely abandon the run, but there's other ways that you can get the ball into these guys' hands. Pause. If we're talking about Chase Brown, getting him dump offs and screens and things like that, getting him the ball in different ways, like not making it so obvious that you're running. We've all seen the viral clip going around about the Bengals with them trying to use the same exact play in several different entities and instances for them to use it. That was just, you can't do that. What's up, John?
Let me ask you a question about that. In hindsight, okay, I get it, right? But just looking at that, what if the Bengals try to throw and it's an incomplete pass and now the Browns have more time on the clock? Is the argument against it? I thought the play calling was poor. I was horrible.
I just think the play selection, it's not that running at that point. Like, if something's not working, the situational awareness has to be different. Like, you could still do a run, but where's the creativity of, in that same formation, having Jamar Chase take a reverse or something like that? Like, when you're doing the same thing over and over again, it just, to me, it's just like, where's the creativity as a playmaker? And I think you have to have the situational awareness to say, I'm running with a purpose. I'm not running just to say that I ran the ball. Like, the purpose of this run has to be executed and brought in at a point that really makes sense. And if it's not working, then I have to go to my other run plays. I have to do something to make this defense have to think a little bit more. And I think that Zach Taylor will do that. The one thing that I'll say about Zach Taylor, I can talk all bad about, some of his play calling decisions and stuff like that. The one thing that he does do is he learns from each kind of mistake that he's made. So I'm sure that they've looked at things that they tried to force and do this previous week, and I think they're going to make adjustments to do something different this week. But the offense has to be led by T. Higgins and Jamar Chase. There's no reason that they don't get 10 targets for Jamar, 8 for T. Like, it can't be 5 and 4. Like, this offense is built off of these guys, and we have to call plays that involve them. Even if you're just using them as a distraction, bringing Jamar Chase just into the backfield is going to make the defense question what they're doing on that play. And if the Bengals can do that and not make it simplified and vanilla for the defense to be able to easily examine what they're doing, I think they'll be fine. And I think that they are going to do that in this game. I think that Joe Burrow is going to come out with a chip on his shoulder. He knows that they let the defense down last week with the statistics and their performance. And so I think Joe Burrow is going to take advantage of that Jaguars defense. Here's the thing that the Jags like to do as well, because it's a new defense. They like to blitz. At least they showed that week 1. You don't want to blitz Burrow. Burrow is going to be able to take advantage of that. If they do decide to use that kind of strategy against them, I think Burrow will take advantage of it. They do need to establish the run, right? But they have to be more efficient. I don't think they need more runs. I think that they just need to have more yards per carry, more effective runs. And I think the timing of those runs are going to kind of determine how effective they are. It can't just be early down runs. It can't just be we're going to run the ball 3 straight times. It has to be creative. And I think that the Bengals will look at some of the things that they did last week and didn't have success, and they'll make those adjustments for this week.
For sure. I think one thing, too, just to give a little bit of context, too, is that everybody has a plan until they get punched in the mouth. And one thing that I thought that if you're going to say that the Browns did anything good, and this is one thing that I don't think that the Bengals could control. The Bengals in that first drive, I thought that they were playing outstanding defense. And you saw guys flying around, you saw them, whatever. Those 3 bailout calls on the third downs to move the chains and then ultimately give the Browns like a touchdown on that drive. I thought that the other part of the story is now they're possessing the ball a lot more. So a plan that you might have to get T. Higgins or Jamar Chase the ball a lot more is now cut down. Now that 12 targets that Jamar Chase potentially can get is now down to 9. You know what I mean? So it's like, and if you look at the time of possession throughout that game, they were just controlling the game. And now coming into week 2, I know that the Bengals limited the Browns to 4.2 yards per play. I know that they stopped them in the run. The Browns were actively moving the chains in the second half of the football game, which you got to take away. But even in the first half of the game, I thought that they were moving the ball on those long drives, and you're like, well, the Bengals aren't giving up big chunk plays. At some point, Al Golden's going to have to say, bro, I got to send some heat. I got to go call something because I got to get the ball back to Burrow. We shouldn't be walking out of these games saying, like, I do think the Bengals, they had 10 possessions when it was all said and done. But that first half of the football game, they only had 3. I could be mistaken. Maybe they had 3.5, like not even a real drive at the end or whatever of the first half. But you can't have that. And that goes hand in hand with your conversation about the targets. So even if it's short option routes to Jamar Chase, he has the potential to break it at any moment. You're paying this guy $40 million. As much as I just was on TJ Watt I was like, bro, he had 1 pressure and he got paid $40 million. Jamar Chase is now in the same conversation from a front office standpoint. I'm paying this dude $40 million to be the best wide receiver in football. I got to get him to rock early and often. I would come out in this game. I know Jimmy Chase would appreciate this. I would if I saw Tyson Campbell on him or whatever bro's name is again on him, I would throw the deep bomb and remind him and put it in his head psychologically. This is what we did to you the last time that we saw you. You need to be wary of Jamar Chase going deep. I don't care if you got safety help or not. I'm throwing this up. I'm throwing it 40 yards down the field, back shoulder. I'm throwing deep fade. I'm doing it on the first series. So I have it implanted in your head. You're not going to be able to just gang corral Jamar Chase in front of you. A lot of people talk about Jamar Chase's yak, but not a lot of people talk about the ability of him to separate at the end of those routes amongst the best. Brian Thomas Jr. is really good at that too, but showing late hands, separating at the end. A lot of people have forgotten about that part of his game since all teams are forced to play cover 2 against him. I don't care if there's a safety help over the top. I would throw it just to get in the cornerback's head. You need to respect his speed. I would tell Jamar Chase to turn on the jets and go out there and fly down the field. Whether we catch this joint or not, you need to put in this guy's head that he can't keep up with you and let the game plan set up from there. And now you got this guy playing inside leverage. You got him doing, you're now dictating. And I thought the Bengals offense in the second half of the football game never dictated. We need to dictate this week.
Yeah, I agree with you. Definitely need to dictate what happens in this football game. And I think that the Bengals will bounce back and do that. I think it's going to be a tough game for them to win, but it is at home. That is going to be something that helps them as well. You talk about the crowd, you talk about those things. So I think the Bengals are going to cook at home. And speaking of cooking at home, let's toss it to our good friends at Midwest Best Barbecue.
Now they call T. Higgins, or you say number 5s. Either way, you'll be winning. It's them hot honey lemon peppers. Now they call T. Higgins, or you say number 5s. Either way, you'll be winning. They was them hot honey lemon peppers. Now they call T. Higgins, or you say number 5s. Either way, you'll be winning. And much love to Mama T, Uno and CTB. MB's got Bengals wings, and now we just added T's. 9 to 5 winning things. Gritty for Uno wings. We say yes, Sirski now. Like X's and be saying that T got them new wings. Only at MB's. Hot honey lemon peppers. Now you can call them T's. Hot honey lemon peppers. Now they call T. Higgins. Or you say number 5s. Either way, you'll be winning. It's them hot honey lemon peppers. Now they call T. Higgins. Or you say number 5.
That was nice. I ain't gonna lie.
Shout out to Midwest Best Barbecue 669 Justice Court in Loveland, Ohio. Make sure you stop in and let them know Ace and Zim sent you. They got the brisket fries. They got the Uno wings. They got the T wings. They got the Dillinator wings. They got the Grippo wings. So shout out to them. I wish I Show Speed would have stopped by Midwest Best Barbecue when he was in the Natty, because we already know what time it is with the food that they deliver over there. Shout out to Tim and Nicole. We appreciate y'all rocking with us. And make sure if you are watching this podcast that you hit that subscribe button. If you're watching on YouTube, jump over there, hit that subscribe, hit that like. Let us know what you guys think in the comments. Appreciate it. Reading all of the response from you guys from the last video. We truly enjoy watching and reading those comments. So let us know what you guys think. We will have a post game this weekend. However, most of our post members and Zim will be in town. So it will be something that we're going to try to work together. Either I will do it solo or we will try to get them later on that night. But either way, we're going to have you guys covered with Bengals coverage here on the Cincinnati podcast. Even more reason for you guys to subscribe. Make sure if you're listening to us on Spotify, on Apple, on Stitcher, please leave us that 5-star review. That helps grow the podcast and helps other people find it. And then follow Zim at Zim Hude. Follow me at New Stripe City. And also make sure that you stop over and get you a Hellcat shirt at zimhude.com. Make sure you get that apparel ASAP because we Hellcats this year. We appreciate you guys so much for tapping in to the Cincinnati podcast. Coming up on the Cincinnati podcast.
Hello, world. Cincinnati. You guys are the Yoshi creators, bro.
But I know this, the whole NFL is scared of the Bengals.